Some of the shopping habits that our society has normalized are just a touch unhinged. And once you start noticing them, they're kind of hard to unsee. So today I'm going to be breaking down a handful of behaviors and habits that might seem normal in today's culture, but they actually might be linked to deeper problems within our shopping habits. Now you might be thinking, who the heck died and made me the queen of deciding what's normal? No one did, obviously. These are just based on my own perspective, my own experiences, and the conversations that I've had with other people who are also trying to break free of compulsive shopping habits. If you think these habits are normal because you do them and you're okay with them, that is totally fine. This video and all of the content that I make is specifically for people who aren't feeling that great about their shopping habits, they're trying to be more intentional with their purchases, or people who are struggling with some type of shopping addiction. And the point of what I'm sharing today is not to shame you at all, because trust me, I've been there, sometimes I still am there. It's just for me to share with you these things and say, it doesn't have to be this way. So again, if you view these things as normal, that's totally fine. This video is probably not for you. But if you are somebody who is struggling with unhealthy shopping habits, this video might be the validation that you need to say, hey, I need to make some changes in my life. And with that, let's just get right into it. So the first shopping habit that us as a society have very much normalized is shopping as a form of entertainment. It is so easy to start browsing or scrolling out of boredom or a way to kill time, or just as us trying to find that little hit of dopamine that we're so familiar with when we shop. But shopping is not entertainment and it is not a hobby. I know that it can feel really productive and exciting and there's like momentum behind it in the moment, but if that's what you default to in times of boredom or when you feel like you need something to do, then it can definitely lead to more unhealthy shopping habits like impulse buying. Hobbies are usually in our lives to help us create something or teach something or build some type of fulfillment over time. But excessive shopping, especially when we're using it as entertainment or as a hobby, can turn into a mess super quickly, whether that's emotionally or physically the space around us or financially, of course. And actually, speaking of emotions, shopping is not a form of therapy either. We all know that it offers that little quick hit of dopamine that feels really good in the moment, but more often than not, that feeling fades and then we just continue on the vicious cycle over and over again, trying to find our next hit of dopamine. It can be really tricky to dig yourself out of this hole if you are buying things as a coping mechanism. So times where you are bored or stressed, or you're procrastinating, or you're feeling insecure, or you're experiencing burnout. It's not impossible to get out of this hole, of course. It's just tough. And that's when the side effects of actually treating shopping like entertainment or a hobby or therapy actually start to build up. So those side effects are things like guilt or regret or clutter or financial pressure. There's nothing wrong with wanting to enjoy your style or to decorate your home or whatever category you find yourself buying a lot of, or maybe it's all of the above. There's nothing wrong with enjoying those things, of course, and there's also nothing wrong with buying new items every once in a while when they are done with intention. But if shopping is your main way to feel better or to entertain yourself or maybe to somehow cope, then it's definitely worth digging in a little bit deeper to uncover why these patterns are actually happening and what you can do about them. Apparently, I'm a baby and I have a hole in my lip, so disregard this water. Hopefully it'll dry. The second shopping habit that our society has normalized is letting influencers decide what we need. If the only reason that you're buying something is because somebody online told you that it changed their life and now you need it in order to change yours, that is not mindful shopping. That's just outsourcing your decision making. And oftentimes, especially when influencers are in the equation, it's not because you actually need the product or it's going to be purposeful for you or it's going to serve you. It's because you are chasing some type of aspiration that influencer is selling. And the tricky part about this is that oftentimes it doesn't feel like this intense pressure to buy because it's coming from somebody who you might look up to or who you might trust or who you might feel like you have some type of friendly relationship with, even though, most of the time it's a parasocial relationship. But regardless, that feeling of trust is very much there. But we need to remember that a majority of influencers, their job is to sell you stuff, right? It's to sell you this lifestyle. And how do you achieve the lifestyle? With ABC products. And the more you consume content like this, the easier it is to kind of lose sight of your actual realistic lifestyle and what you need and what's actually going to serve you. If you're following influencers or certain accounts that are constantly making you feel like you are lacking in different areas of your life, that is not harmless. And it is definitely not worth your time. Block them, mute them, or do whatever you need to do to get them off of your feed. And then I also recommend you replace them with influencers who are actually encouraging good shopping habits. The third shopping habit that our society has completely normalized is constant closet cleanouts. There is nothing wrong with editing your wardrobe, of course, but if you are constantly purging your closet every few weeks or months or just multiple times a year, then that might be a sign that you're not shopping as intentionally as you probably could. Especially if it's a cycle where you are buying a bunch of stuff, you don't wear any of it because you realize that you don't like it, or maybe it doesn't fit, or maybe it doesn't go with anything in your wardrobe, or maybe it's out of trend now, or whatever the case may be, and nothing's working for you, so you clean it all out and you go shopping, and then again you go through the same cycle because there's not as much intention behind the purchase as there should be. And I think the tricky thing about this is that closet cleanouts often feel productive, right? Like they feel like we're actually doing something for our style. This is a style channel generally, so like normally I'm talking just about clothes, but this could also apply to pretty much anything. Maybe you're constantly purging your home decor, or I don't know, maybe your makeup or something like that. So this can apply to anything, but I generally just refer to my wardrobe because that was my issue. So it can feel really productive and you can feel really good about it afterwards, but oftentimes it's just a band-aid for mindless consumption. When getting rid of things actually becomes the solution, as opposed to asking yourself why you bought them in the first place, then those patterns are very much unlikely to change. Since I've started my conscious consumerism journey about 2 years ago, I've actually only cleaned my closet out twice, which I feel like is a good amount of time. And that's because I've decided to lean into what I already own, even things that I might not necessarily enjoy, but I try to just incorporate as much as I can of what I already own just to make use of it and to also challenge myself to do more fun things with my wardrobe. And the other reason why I haven't done a ton of closet cleanouts like I have in the past is because the things I'm bringing into my life are brought in with mindfulness and intention, and they're actually serving a purpose. So there's not much that I need to quote unquote get rid of, and that's what works for me. So the goal shouldn't be that you are constantly decluttering. It should be that you are buying less and buying with more intention in the first place. The next shopping habit that our society has completely normalized is always having packages being delivered to your house. There comes a point, and this has definitely happened to me, where you have so many things coming to your house all the time that it feels weird when you don't have something on the way. When you constantly have items being delivered to your door, that's a pretty big sign of what I mentioned a couple minutes ago about how you can turn shopping into entertainment or a hobby or therapy really quickly, as opposed to an intentional, mindful choice. Especially, and I used to do this a lot, when you get an item and you're like, I don't even remember what's in here. And then you unbox it and it feels like Christmas. That's the dopamine talking. And that's a sign that there's definitely a deeper problem. So when that excitement is coming from you tracking an item, or maybe even forgetting that it's on the way and it arrives at your doorstep, or whatever, just that excitement of new, it becomes a lot less about the actual item and just more about that hit of dopamine. And those packages can start to fill an emotional gap. There's something that you are looking forward to. There's something that you can actually do, maybe on the phone with your friends or your family. You're unboxing these packages and everything. Or maybe it's a way for you to feel more in control. But oftentimes that feeling is fading pretty quickly, and then we're just on to the next one, ordering the next thing. So if your home is starting to feel like a revolving door for deliveries and packages, it might be a good time to just take a step back and say, what are all these items doing to actually serve me? And the last shopping habit I want to talk about today that our society has completely normalized is constantly refreshing your style out of boredom. And again, I'm a style channel, so I'm going to be talking about clothes, but this can apply to anything. Feeling bored with your wardrobe does not mean that there's something wrong with it, but oftentimes when we feel this way, the next step is to go out and buy new stuff and freshen it up and change it up or whatever the case may be, but to acquire more. The idea of a style refresh is everywhere online, and it does sound really productive, but if it's happening on a regular basis, it is definitely worth digging into why. Sometimes the boredom isn't about your actual clothes, but it's about what you're doing with them and how you're experimenting with them, and the actual relationship that you have with them. Which might seem kind of silly, like a relationship with an intangible object, but oftentimes on here I talk about the importance of having a relationship with your clothes so that you can actually put them to use and actually make the most of them. So if every wave of boredom that you have when it comes to your clothes is sending you into a shopping spiral, you are missing out on the opportunity to challenge yourself and actually grow deeper with your existing wardrobe. There's a sense of creativity that you can tap into to rework certain pieces or to style them differently or to discover a different combination that you might not have thought of. And of course, this isn't going to happen with every single piece. Like there's often times where we're like, this just isn't serving me anymore. But again, it's important to look within and be like, why? Is it because I was shopping for a fantasy version of myself? Is it because I don't really find this color that flattering on me? Is it because I have nothing else to pair it with in my wardrobe? And then all of those things that you start to recognize, you need to apply to the next time you are actually adding more items to your wardrobe. So it's not this constant cycle of you being bored, having to do a style refresh, and then, over and over again. So I encourage you, instead of continuously jumping into that cycle of newness, try to grow a relationship with the clothes that you have, put them to use, and better understand why you may or may not be wearing something, and then apply that to your future purchases. All right, you guys, those are my top shopping habits that I think our society has normalized. There are so many others, so do me a favor, drop a comment down below with anything else that you've picked up on that you're like, man, this feels a little weird, don't love that, or maybe something that you used to do, or maybe even something that you are trying to work on right now. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.